Hello, everybody. James Cox here from the Peace, Freedom, Prosperity Movement. Check out peacefreedomprosperity.com. And I'm talking today about activism and building activist groups online and actually in your community. Okay. Is that all right? You can hear me now. There's no feedback. You're not getting the microphone coming back through, George? Okay. All right. So let's start. I'm going to start by talking about FIJA, Fully Informed Jury Association, and why it's important to get involved with FIJA, and hopefully once I've done this talk that you will get involved and spread the message because we need it. The court system has become, corrupt. So we need people to get involved with FIJA. You can check out FIJA at fija.org. That's fija.org. And there's information there that you can print off and you can use to distribute to inform others about this. So, what is FIJA? Well, FIJA, I'll give you our mission. Our mission is to inform all Americans about their rights, authority, and responsibilities when serving as trial jurors. Jurors must know that they have the option and the responsibility to render a verdict based on their conscience and on their sense of justice, as well as the merits of the law. And if all of you know, the highest and best function of the jury is to protect fellow citizens from tyrannical prosecutions and bad laws unfairly imposed by government. And as you know, there is a lot of bad laws out there where nobody is a victim, nobody gets harmed, but yet we have somebody in court and they get convicted because the judge tells the jury this is the law, and if you think this person has broken the law, then you should deliver a guilty verdict. The judge is actually directing the jury. So what we ask you to do is we ask you to vote with your conscience, because you, the individual on that jury, it only takes one person. You on the jury are the most powerful person in that courtroom, not the judge. He's just a referee. He's just there to make sure that each side gets their allotted time and keep order in the courtroom. So you are the most important person. And juries are important because they protect society from dangerous individuals. They protect individuals from unjust prosecutions. And they also have a duty and responsibility to render a just verdict based on your conscience. Do not check your conscience at the door when you go into a courthouse. And I encourage, FIJA and we encourage you, when you get a jury summons, to serve. Go and try to get on the jury. And there's information on the website, fija.org, and I have a blog as well. It's florida.fija.org. And you can see, where I've been around the state of Florida, what I've been doing on there. There are also brochures that you can either order, and we appreciate you ordering these brochures, and distribute these brochures, get acquainted with the content that's in them, and distribute these brochures amongst your fellow citizens, your family, your relatives. What I do is every time I go into a grocery store, I take 3 with me. And when I'm at the checkout, normally there's somebody there in front of me. I pass, excuse me, may I give you some free information? And if they say yes, I give it to them. And then by that time, somebody else is behind me and says, excuse me, may I give you some free information? And if they say yes, I give it to them and I thank them. And then when I get up to the person at the checkout who's checking me out, I ask them, mind if I give you some free information, and pass them the free information. Now, you cannot be punished for your verdict when you serve on a jury. And like I said, one person can hang a jury. So listen to the facts of the case, look at the law, and decide as well whether the law is being applied justly. And if you think that the law is not being applied justly, or it's a bad law, then say not guilty. And you don't even have to give a reason why you're saying not guilty. Stand your ground. Say not guilty. Let's stop wasting the court's time. Let's stop wasting our time. Let's stop wasting taxpayers' money. Let's get out there. Let's tell the judge that we can't come to an agreement. What you've done right there is, let's say it's somebody who's in court for a drugs charge. And this doesn't go with a lot of people, especially Republicans. They don't like it when I bring this up, so I tend to bring gun charges up with Republicans and drug charges with Democrats or Libertarians. Let's say somebody is in court for a drug charge, and they were just caught with some, the plant, marijuana, hemp, in their pocket, a bit of vegetation. Now they're looking at serving 10 years in prison. It costs approximately $30,000 a year to cage an individual. So you saying guilty and putting this person in a cage, that's $30,000 of taxpayers' money. Now, if that person has a family, and he or she was the breadwinner that you cage in, and sometimes the family then has to fall onto the state for welfare, you're looking at even more money. So you could be looking, somewhere in the region of $70,000 for, in taxes. You're harming yourself. But the fact is this: if there's no injured party, there's no victim, there can't be a crime. So I just want you to think about that. And so, not only are you harming this person, you're taking their freedom away, but you're also punishing yourself and your fellow citizens, because the government's stealing taxes from you. There's a reason why in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights the word jury is mentioned 4 times, and that is because I believe that the framers knew that we would be here in this position today. So the people are the 4th branch of government. We're the 4th branch of government with a final check and balance on the system. So if it's a bad law and you don't like it, just say not guilty. That's all you've got to say, not guilty. The system has become that corrupt. Back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, special interests got involved, and a judge would normally say to the jury, members of the jury, the law here in the state of whatever state it is this. However, if you think that this is a bad law, or you think the person didn't break the law, then you can deliver not guilty. Judges don't say that anymore. They say this is the law in the state of whatever state it is, and if you think that the person has broken the law, then you must deliver a guilty verdict. It's not up to him to tell you what to do. We're all individuals. We all have minds. And if you think that the person, because the law is bad, is not guilty, then don't find them guilty. Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes, in a court case, Horning versus District of Columbia, 249 U.S. 596, 1920, said, "The judge cannot direct a verdict, it is true, and the jury has the power to bring in a verdict in the teeth of both law and facts." So right there he's saying that, the jury is the judge. Each one of you are a judge in each other's facts. So let's quickly look at, what are your duties as a juror? Like I said earlier, register to vote, even if you don't vote, don't want to vote, and just write on the slip none of the above, just to keep yourself in the system. Um, Jurors are normally picked from DMV records and registering to vote. So that's one way how to, keep yourself in the system to hope that you do get chosen for jury duty. So appear. Then you're going to go through something once you appear called voir dire, and basically what that is jury selection. And during selection, you're going to be asked questions. Answer those questions impartially. So if the prosecuting attorney asks you the questions, if they're like, are you involved in any gun clubs? I don't know. I get that many solicitations and I've subscribed to that many things. I don't know who I'm involved with these days. So you being on a jury, your participation and your verdict will have an impact on the life of the defendant and on all of your community. So that's why it's important to serve. And once you are on a jury, just pay attention to all witnesses and evidence, consider all facts and the fairness of the law being applied in the trial, listen respectfully to fellow jurors, vote your conscience, even if you're the only juror who believes in your verdict, and do not change your verdict. Very important. Do not be persuaded. Stand fast on your decision. No, he's not guilty, or no, she's not guilty. I'm not changing my mind. We could sit here until eternity. Let's get out there and tell the judge we don't agree. Render a just verdict. Vote your conscience. How do you justly render a verdict? Well, you got to take into account that the defendant is innocent until proven guilty. Look at the facts of the case, the credibility of witnesses and evidence, mitigating circumstances, fairness of the law, and fairness of the law's application in this trial. So just look at those things and just think, whether you feel that this person is guilty based on that. Why is it important that if you think somebody being tried under a bad law and you hanging the jury is a good thing? Well, when you hang the jury, if enough people know about jury nullification, if they know enough about jury veto power, if they know about this, what I'm talking about right now, then what that does is, if enough juries get hung, it sends a message. It sends a message to these power-craving prosecutors, these judges, these bureaucrats. It tells them that that particular law is not supported in the community. So what will happen is eventually they'll want to change that law, because a prosecutor, if he's been to court 4 or 5 times, over a certain law, and he's not got a he's not being able to prosecute and put somebody away, then what's the point? What's the point in trying to prosecute somebody knowing that every time you take somebody to court now, the jury is going to say, one person on the jury is going to say not guilty. So that's why this is very important. You're nullifying, that's what you're doing. You're nullifying bad laws by saying not guilty. A lot of people don't want to go and serve on a jury because they don't know about jury nullification. I don't want to go and sit there. I spoke to many people when I've been out and about around Florida. So I don't want to go and sit there and, in a room with people and wait to be seated on the jury and just sitting around all day and losing money from work and this, that, and the other. Well, it's only a matter of time before, someone you love will be accused of a crime. So wouldn't you want somebody with the knowledge of jury veto power to be on that jury if that time comes? And that's why this is very important, that people get involved in FIJA, and jury nullification. Martin Luther King Jr., he wrote a letter from Birmingham jail, why we can't wait, April 16, 1963. He said, one may ask, how can you advocate breaking some laws and obeying others? The answer lies in the fact that there are two types of laws, just and unjust. One has not only a legal but moral responsibility to obey just laws. Conversely, one has a moral responsibility to disobey unjust laws. I would agree with St. Augustine that an unjust law is no law at all. And there are a lot of unjust laws out there, a lot of unjust laws. So it's time to change things peacefully. This is a way to change things peacefully. So serve on a jury and get all your friends educated on jury nullification. If you go to fija.org, there are these brochures. You can order them, or they're in PDF format, and you can print them off and hand them out. And it's a great way to these brochures are a great way to educate people on jury duty and what your rights are when you serve on a jury. Okay, so now I'll give you a little bit of insight. That's your cause. So we're going to talk now about activism. So FIJA has been my cause over the last 10 months. And when you become an activist, how to build a team is start using social media. Create a group on Facebook, Yahoo, Google. Create a group somewhere that you think is going to be useful to you on a social media. Facebook's okay. I think though sometimes that they censor when you send messages out and post things. So you might want to look at like Yahoo groups or have two. I know it's double work, but sometimes, like I said, I've sent messages out through Facebook, and I've asked people who are part of the group, can you do me a favor? Can you go and check your messages on Facebook or your email? Did you get an email from me, a message from me? I sent it out last night. So once you've created a group, start looking amongst your friends, on your Facebook friends. Start looking, find out who lives in your state. You'll be surprised if you've got somebody that lives across the state. Once a month, who knows? They may come and help you. They may come and join you and get involved with activism. And that's the goal here. That's the goal here, is to create a group and get them out there with you, and then hopefully once you spend enough time with them, they will carry on doing this while you can go to other cities and build the same thing. So look at your friends and send them a message. Hey, I've noticed you live in Florida. Can you come and join this group? And then explain to them what it's about, and then hopefully they'll join the group. Once you've got a few people together here and you start talking online, you can organize some outreach. Outreach that I've done is outside courthouses, federal courthouses and county courthouses. And what we do is we go out, and normally if they're new activists, there's a piece of paper that I hand them, and it's basically to help them to understand the best way how to distribute FIJA brochures while outside a courthouse. It's actually called Distributing Information Outside Courthouses. So I normally give them that piece of paper to read, just so that they're aware and they've got everything they need. So assemble at a courthouse. Don't get in people's ways. Stand to the side. And what I normally do is I ask people, would you like some information on jury rights? Here's information that the judge won't tell you. Here's information that the government doesn't want you to know. And if I don't take it personal if somebody says no, I don't get mad or anything like that. I say, okay, thank you. I thank everybody if they say yes or they say no. Because I've had people that all they have on their mind while they're there is getting into the courthouse. I mean, you don't know why they're at the courthouse, what they're doing there. Um, they could be having a court appearance where they're risking going to jail, you know. So I've had it where people have said no, thank you. They've been really nasty, and they've said okay, thanks, and then they've walked in the courthouse, and then they've come out, um, a couple of hours later, and said, I think I will take that piece of information now, thanks, and then they take it, and you see them, they're intrigued, they want to know what this is, they're reading it as they're walking off from you. So just distribute the information, and if there's enough people of you, enough of you out there, you've got enough people with you, you'll distribute a lot of information. You'll distribute a lot of brochures. Now, I hand brochures out to everybody. We're not there to target jurors. We're there to educate everybody in that vicinity. So I've handed this to police officers, security guards, I've handed it to court clerks, I've handed it, to everybody there. Whilst distributing this, and like I say, please, keep away, don't block anybody's path. If you are approached by the police and they tell you that you can't do this here, and they're asking you to leave, they're telling you to leave, otherwise I'm going to arrest you, then leave. Go and find somewhere else. Sidewalks are traditional public forums for freedom of speech. So go and find a sidewalk outside a library or a shopping center, and outside there, on the sidewalk, and distribute this information. Just look for heavy traffic areas where people are on foot. That's what I do. I had a problem while I was down in Fort Lauderdale at the federal courthouse, because the federal courthouse in Fort Lauderdale sits on a block of its own, and it has a sidewalk all the way around it. And what I normally do with federal courthouses is that I go in and I ask, can I speak to the person that's in charge of the courthouse security, please? That's normally the JSI, the Judicial Security Inspector. And I want to talk to that person. And when I get to talk to that person, I ask them, and I take the brochures in with me, and I say, do you have any problems with me handing this information out on the sidewalk outside the courthouse? And in Fort Lauderdale, they did have a problem with me handing that out. In fact, when I first went in there, they basically, the guys behind the counter, they were just like the guys from Men in Black. They said, you can't come in here with a cell phone. I said, well, I don't want to come in here. I want to talk to the person that's in charge. They said, well, why don't you call them on your cell phone outside? And I'm like, well, why are you being like this? I mean, what's your problem? All I want to do, and they said, well, we know why you're here. We know what you want to do. And I said, I need to talk to somebody who's in authority here. And eventually, the supervisor came out, and he told me, you can't stand on the sidewalk. His excuse was it's government property. So after some research and finding out who was in charge of the security at all the southern courthouses in Florida, a guy by the name of Fred DePompa, I managed to call him up, and I said, I've been to speak to an attorney, and the attorney is telling me that basically what you're doing is you are violating my First Amendment rights. That's a sidewalk. It's a traditional public forum, and you are violating my First Amendment rights. I don't want no trouble here. All I want to do is be able to distribute my brochures, and I want to do it on the sidewalk. Anyway, eventually they came back and said, you can distribute your information on the sidewalk. So then I was allowed to get on the sidewalk. But beforehand, I was going and standing by a parking garage. I was like watching where people were coming from to go into the courthouse, and I would go and stand there. So when they come out of the parking garage, I would go and stand there, and I would distribute uh, brochures to people there. I would stick around for a few hours, and then I would go downtown, and there was a college. I'm talking about Fort Lauderdale now. There's a college, Broward Community College and Florida Atlantic University, and there was a sidewalk outside there. And I would stand there and distribute. I'd go and have an early lunch at 11 o'clock, and then I would leave about 11:45, and I would be there ready for the students coming out of college, and I would distribute the brochures to them. After spending about 30 minutes, 45 minutes there, because by that time everybody's out of college, going to get something to eat, I would head off then to the county courthouse. County courthouses are high traffic areas, and that's because there is that much of victimless crime that people are being prosecuted for, it's just unbelievable. So I would then go down to the county courthouse and start distributing brochures there. Now, if there's a few of you, you can distribute anywhere between 1,000 to, I think the most that we ever did was 1,800 brochures in a day. So 1,800 of these, handing 1,800 of these out, that's, some information there. Once you've got a team together, another way to recruit people is go online, go to meetup.com and look for Democrat Party, Republican Party, and Libertarian Party in that area, and see if you can get a speaking engagement. Now, when you do go and talk to these parties, you have to be very careful which brochure you present to them and their members, because I've messed up a couple of times. Not that I've been handing it to them; it's just that it's been in my bag, and when I've pulled this out, the person, oh, so you got a different brochure there. Can I see that one? When I go and talk at Republican meetings, I hand the Second Amendment feature brochure out about guns, and they like it. They like this. They like this brochure, and they like what I have to say about this. I tell the story about somebody has been pulled over and misidentification, and the cop pats him down and finds that he's got a gun on him, and he doesn't have a concealed weapons permit. There's a Second Amendment in this country, and everybody has a right to carry a gun, and yet we're still caging people. We're still throwing people in a cage because they want to protect themselves. They want to carry a weapon to protect themselves and the people that they are with, and possibly society as well. So the Second Amendment brochure. This is the brochure that I normally pass out at Republican Party meetings. I also pass out the Your Jury Rights, True or False, this yellow pamphlet here. This is a popular one because this is pretty neutral. And the primer for prospective jurors, this one's neutral too. It's content neutral. It doesn't, it's not about really about guns. People just look at the pictures on the front, and if you're at a Democrat meeting and there's guns on it, some of them they don't like it. So that one's content neutral. And then they've just come out with a new brochure, and it's very well done. I love this brochure. It's called A Fresh Air for Justice. This is new, and so this is it's neutral too. So if I go to a Democrat meeting, I normally pass out this one here, which is Who Owns Your Body? And they like that too. or the neutral ones also. Um, when speaking, I tell the people why it's important to get involved. It's important to get involved because there are that many bad laws on the books that nowadays people don't know when they're breaking a law. And I mean, being accused of a crime when nobody's injured it's not a crime. I want to move on to now, how do you promote what are you doing? I have 4 devices that I carry with me when I'm out and about. It's good to get a smartphone. I have an Apple smartphone, the iPhone 4. This is good because you can take photographs with it, you can record voice messages, you can video with it, you can email, you can even broadcast live. You can get an application to broadcast live with this phone. So you can broadcast what's happening live. So that's good. The only thing about broadcasting live is when you get a phone call, it shuts the video off. So so there's a camera on that phone, and this is for my protection and to document what's happening. The very first camera phone I bought was this. It's a little bit beat up now. You can see it's all scratched and everything, but it's still, it's still a good phone. It's still a good camera. Sorry, it's an Insignia. It's high definition. It's only 720 though, and I would use this to video with, and it has a memory chip in it. You take it out, put it in your computer, and you can upload it to YouTube. I also have a Sony Bloggie. I can take photographs with this and video. But the neat little thing I like about this is it has this little flip top, camera. It flips up like this. And if you've got a pocket, in your shirt, you can like sit it in there, and you can, video it, and then have your phone, your camera phone, video with that. And, basically you're going to document what's happening. I film people reading brochures. I take photographs of if somebody takes a brochure from me and they go and sit down and start reading it, I take a photograph of them, and I take a photograph, and that photograph will go on the website. It just shows that the information that I'm passing out, some people are interested in it. If I have any interactions with police officers or people out of the court or U.S. Marshals, I also video those interactions. It just shows the ignorance of the government when these people come out and say, you can't distribute this information here. It's wrong. I actually had down in Fort Lauderdale in a park that has a war memorial auditorium. They have a gun show there once a month. I went to go to the gun show and wanted to pass out information outside the gun show, and a cop came out and said, you can't pass that information out here. And I said, well, why? He said, well, because the owner of the gun show says that you can. I said, well, can I go and talk to the owner of the gun show? He said, sure. So I went in, and we were passing out the Second Amendment, and you'd think that this person would love us to pass this out. Well, she didn't. This is Suncoast Gun Shows. She told me, no, you can't pass that information out here. I don't want you passing it out here. I said, well, can you put me down for a table next month? She said, no, they're all booked up. I said, what about the month after that? She said, no. I said, well, what about the month after that? I said, no, they're all booked. She's just making excuses. So I went outside on the sidewalk, because this is a park. It's another traditional public forum, and I started, passing out brochures. So then this police officer comes out and says, you're going to have to leave. She doesn't want you here. Now, I'm going to have to arrest you if you don't. I said, this is, not illegal. I'm asserting my First Amendment right. And he's like, not here. This is, there's an ordinance. You cannot hand out that information. It says, ordinance where? It says, go and look at the city of Orlando. So we did. We went to the library and we looked at the ordinance. You just go to Municode. I think it's municode.com or municode.gov. And we looked it up. And basically it said, you are not allowed to pass out commercial handbills. Well, there is nothing commercial about these. Yes, they are handbills, but there is nothing commercial about these brochures. They're not soliciting anything. They're not, asking people for money. So there's nothing wrong with the information that we're handing out. So we print off the Municode, and I go back, and I want to talk to this police officer about this, and to enlighten him. And he gets all upset and tells me to get out of there, otherwise he's going to put a trespass warrant on me, because I brought something to his attention that he didn't like. I wasn't trying to be mean, I was just trying to educate him. So we left, because I didn't want to get arrested. So videoing things like this, it just shows the ignorance of government and the tyranny, what they are trying to do to us. Getting arrested for handing out feature brochures, it doesn't help the cause. If you're going to do feature and you are asked to leave, and if you ask the officer, if I don't leave, what's going to happen? And the officer tells you, I'm going to arrest you, then leave. We need as many people as possible to get involved in activism, to educate as many people as possible about FEJA. Like I said earlier, it's one of our last peaceful ways to change things. So it's very important that we don't get arrested, because getting arrested, all that does is it's like, I'm not getting involved in that. I've had many people say to me, I'm not going to get involved in that because I don't want to get arrested. So, well, you're not going to get arrested. I've not been arrested for handing out feature brochures. Just come and give us a hand. Just get involved. And they don't want to, because they see the videos online of some people that have been arrested. And then they're not being arrested for handing out brochures. They're being arrested because they are disobeying what the police officer or the federal marshal is telling them, what to do. Some people have just been arrested, in the past for having cameras and being told not to film. And that's up to you to make that choice. But if you are distributing feature material, we ask that you don't get arrested, that you move away, go downtown, go somewhere else, go and do it somewhere else. It's very important to do that, to not get arrested, because, like I said, people see the videos, they hear about the arrest, and then they don't want to get involved. So that, just leave, that's all we ask. Once you've got your photographs and you've made some notes about what you did that day, how many brochures, it's always a good idea as well to put down how many brochures that you distributed as an individual or as a group. Go and post it on the internet. Post it in your group on Facebook. Create a blog. Go put it on a blog. Once you've written your post and you put the video in there, go and tweet it. Tweet it. Use Twitter. Go and use other social bookmarking and social news outlets like Current.com is a good one. Once you've got a post on a blog that tells your day, what you've done that day, go and put it on there, and then get a bunch of friends to go and vote it up, and hopefully you'll get on the front page of Current. It's just important to put this information out there to show others what you are doing, that you are active, you're an activist in your community, Um, Once you meet new people, don't forget, get some business cards made, or if you print these off, you can get a stamp. There's a blank space on most of them right here. It says, this leaflet is distributed locally by. You can either put your website, and then on your website, if you've got your email address, or your telephone number, or you can just put your telephone number on here. You can, if you want to, put your home address, or a P.O. box, get a P.O. box, or just your website, a way people to contact you. When you meet new people, if people want to get involved in this, make sure you get their contact details. Telephone number, name, if you can get their address, that'd be good. Email address is very good. Ask them if they're on Facebook, and send them a friend request on Facebook, and get them involved. So you can message them and let them know when you're going to get active. Also, try and get those people to go and talk at meetings, and share your blog with them. Allow them to post on your blog, so it's not just one person writing on the blog. Get different people, so when people go and look at the blog, they can see that, wow, there's a good few people involved in this. The more people that come out and don't get arrested, what that does is it encourages more people, that want to get involved in some kind of freedom-orientated activism. And FEJA is a great cause. It is. It really is. And we need your support. So you can go make a donation. You can go and call 1-800-TEL-JURY. That's 1-800-TEL-JURY, and they'll send you a free kit. Make a donation. Buy some brochures. They have other things on there too that you can buy. It's good for the cause. It helps the FEJA stay alive and keep educating people and grow FEJA by doing that. I'm looking at the chat here now, so if anybody has any questions, I'll take questions for the next 10 minutes if there's any questions. Let's have a look here. Lee Sparks says, I have a friend who is about to serve on a jury. If the case involves a victimless crime such as possession of drugs paraphernalia, what would you advise she do to influence her fellow jurors to nullify? If it was me and I was representing myself, the government has this thing. Oh, if you're going to start telling people law and legalese, we can arrest you. So I'm not going to act like an attorney here, but I'll tell you what I would do if I was brought up on an unjust charge. And I did try to do this as well with my traffic infraction. If you represent yourself, you can basically tell the jury. You can say, all I need is one person on this jury to deliver a not guilty verdict. And I would tell them, so you are, now the judge might shut you down. The judge might shut me down. So you are the judges, all 12 of you are the judges. And I have not harmed anybody. I've not harmed anybody. This is a victimless crime. I want you to seriously think about this. This is a bad law. All I need is one of you to say not guilty. And, don't put me in a cage. I would basically explain to them, that they have a right to nullify the law despite what the judge is about to tell them. They have a right to vote their conscience. You're individuals. You are all individuals on this jury. Think about what you are about to do to me. Think about what you're going to do to yourself. You're going to put me in a cage for possibly a maximum of 10 years, and you're going to take me away from my family. My family will probably go on welfare, and you're all going to pay for it. But, you know, the main thing here is I have harmed nobody. It's my body. The government assumes that they own our bodies. Members of the jury, are we all slaves? Are you a slave? Are you slaves? Shouldn't you have the right to put in your body what you want? Who has the right to tell you no, you can't, and put you in a cage for putting in your body what you what you want to put in your body? Nobody has the right to do that. So I try and reason with the jury and try to explain, that they have a right. But of course, the judge might start banging the gavel ferociously and tell me to sit down, So try and get it out. There was one gentleman, I can't remember his name. I think he used to work for the drug enforcement. Now he's actually for legalizing marijuana, and he actually wrote on his forehead jury nullification in an indelible marker, so it couldn't be washed off, and went into court with it. So that's one way when, but an attorney is not going to bring up jury nullification in the courtroom, because he will be taken into chambers. At the very least, the judge will give him a warning and tell him that he's going to refer him to the bar, or there's a possibility, depending on what frame of mind that the judge is in, it could actually sentence him to jail for 30 to 90 days, hold him in contempt of court, and he would also probably lose his livelihood because of that. So they're not gonna talk about jury nullification. If somebody's been brought up on charges and you know well in advance when the court date is, go out like a month or two, and during the trial, prior to the trial and during the trial, and become part of the scenery. Start passing out brochures to as many people as possible. Go downtown, like I said, to public areas where there's a sidewalk, and pass out brochures there, and try and educate as many people as possible in that area, because hopefully, one person might be on that person's jury, and if you've educated them with jury veto power, with jury nullification, there's a good strong possibility that that person that is up for a victimless crime could be acquitted. Now, that's not to say that when you have a hung jury, the prosecutor can refile again, but a good majority of the time they don't, because jury trials are so expensive. They're so expensive. Any more questions from the chat? Okay, I don't want to hear from James Stein. Do you get many questions from potential jurors? If so, what questions do you get the most? Okay. I don't hand these out to jurors. If one does actually fall into the hands of a juror, it's because I didn't know they were a juror. Like I said earlier in this broadcast, I hand these brochures out to everybody, because everybody's a potential juror, but you know what? Everybody also is a potential activist. So I hand these out to everybody. And if a juror came up to me and started asking me about this, I probably would not want to talk to them. I say, you've got the information. There's more information online. Go and read it. I don't want the strong arm of the law putting its hand on my shoulder and saying you're under arrest for jury tampering. So I've been questioned before by the police. I've been questioned before by the federal marshals. Who are you handing this out to? I say I hand it out to everybody. I don't care who they are. I don't care what they're doing. I don't care where they've been. I don't care where they're going. I don't care. But if somebody walks up to me and they don't have a jury badge and they start talking to me, I'll talk to them about it. And some people, they'll ask questions. Um, the main question is, how do I get on a jury? That's the main thing. I've been called for jury duty 5 times in my lifetime, and I go in, and they ask a bunch of questions, and then I get dismissed. Well, that's because you're not giving them the right answers. They want to hear what they want to hear. And if you're telling them, yes, I'm a member of the NRA, I've got an AK-47, an M16, and guns, and it's a gun, it's a gun charge that the person's up, in court for, you're not going to get on that jury. So it's all about the way that you handle that. So that's the main one. That's the main question that I get asked about. How do I actually get on the jury? That's the main question. Let me have a look here, see if there are any more questions here. The most busy courts, going in from Zach Vanell, the busiest courts I see are the county courts. There's a lot of people going in there to pay traffic tickets. What this is, it's taxation through citation. I say this: if you get a ticket, no matter what it's for, contest it. Demand a jury trial, put it in writing, say, I'm not admitting guilty or not guilty on this, and I demand a jury trial, and make sure you put this in writing, make sure it's in the court of record, of 12 people of my peers, and make sure that's written in there, because here in the state of Florida, I'm not quite sure about any other states, but you can get a six-man jury here in the state of Florida, and you want a 12, because a judge, it's harder for a judge to convince 12 minds compared to 6. If you've got 6 people and you're telling them this is the law in the state of Florida, and if you think that this person has broken the law, then you must deliver a guilty verdict. If he's saying that to 6 people as opposed to 12, chances are that you still may get somebody out of the 12 that doesn't listen to him. It's easier to influence 6 minds than it is 12. Ian Freeman says, in Keene, we hand these out during the hour around the time when potential jurors are arriving in court. We hand them to everyone that walks into court, but clearly the time we have chosen will result in some majority of people being potential jurors. The cops have left us alone. That's good. That's good that you've got that kind of atmosphere. And I would say yes. Get there as early as possible. Get there like 7 o'clock. And just start passing these out. 7 o'clock in the morning, just start passing these out to everybody that walks by. Lunchtime is good too, between like 11:30 and 1:30. That's a good time to pass out this information. And your intention is not to put this in. It's not my intention to put this in the hand of a juror. Like I said, I'm educating everybody. That's what I do. But if one should happen to get into the hands of a juror, then, I didn't know. I'm sorry. I've actually had, believe it or not, as I've been passing these out, I've actually had people come up, they've seen me passing it out, and with badges on them, they've just taken it. I've been talking to somebody or passing it to somebody else, and then I've just got one in my hand, and they said, can I have one of those please? And they've taken it. They've taken it from me. I've not offered it to them. They've actually came and taken it from them. I've had a couple of people that were wearing jury badges that have done that. Not many though. They've seen other people walking into the courthouse with it, and I guess they see the word jury on it, and they think, oh, this must be something that I need to know, and they come and get it. So look here, Bob Parrow says, as prosecutors become more aware of FEJA efforts, I think they will try to vet potential jurors for FEJA people prior to allowing them on the jury. What do you recommend for actual getting on the jury in the face of prosecutor awareness? Just answer their questions impartially. You know, have you read any Fija literature? Do you know who Fija is? You know, I've read that much literature. I couldn't tell you who Fija is. You know, it's not illegal to lie. You know, cops do it all the time to trick you. Uh, just answer the question impartially. You know, that's all I'll say. I want to thank George Donnelly for hosting Agora IO. Awesome. And get behind Fija. I hope you all become activists. Pass this information. Give out the website to people. Get brochures. fija.org. Get out there in your community. Start passing these to your friends, family. Get out in your community. You know, go and talk to other groups about this, and get people in there with you. You know, recruit people so that we can carry on this, because it's definitely needed. I want to thank everybody. Thank you.